Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back for another channel update and random topics video because January, boy, beginning of 2023 is just not slowing down. Good, bad, and everything in between. So, I will just do my usual kind of intro here. Thank you to everybody who is supporting the channel, who has been supporting the channel. Very much appreciated. If you are new, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Sometimes more often, like if there's a holiday or a special event happening, maybe there's something really, really cool that happened regarding accessibility or something like that. You never know. Even on a regularly scheduled day, maybe I'll do a double feature. I have a feeling this when I release this today, this might be a double feature because I'll sneak in another shorter video so that people can have some actual gameplay for today. And I think I know which game I'm actually going to do. You'll just have to wait and see. But everything is divided into playlists, and I cover a lot of different things, mainly focused on blind and low vision tech and game accessibility. So you'll find like me playing mainstream games, checking those out as a low vision gamer. I cover blind accessible games, mainstream audio games, text based games, PC, console, mobile, and whatever. I do cover VR accessibility, virtual reality accessibility. So I've got a virtual reality accessibility playlist and a game accessibility playlist. VR games and experiences, a little educational VR. I've got some hardware reviews um, for a lot of different things, some geeky videos, some cool collectibles that I've collected over the years. Cheap plug, the Optimus Prime video was really, really awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, just a little bit of everything. Just check out the playlists and you'll find something there, hopefully, that you will like or that'll maybe be helpful. And I gotta say, lately I've gotten some really nice, really nice comments. I've really gotten some nice comments on social media, on Twitter. So it's very much appreciated, you know. So thank you for that. Um, I'm going to shift things around a little bit. Normally I do like a channel update and my personal stuff first, but I kind of want to, because all that is really good stuff happening. There's a couple topics I want to quickly cover that are not so positive. And I figure let's get the bad news out of the way first, the bad topics out of the way first, and then we will go from there. Um, so, yeah, like I said, I'll talk more about the channel and what's coming up later. But there's a couple topics that I've seen on social media and just that have been happening that I wanted to cover first. And the first one is I don't know what's going on, man, but like there's so many tech companies. Starting in like early January, well, we had the whole fiasco with Twitter late last year when they just basically wiped out what 75% of their workforce. But then there was a whole bunch of stuff about Ubisoft really having trouble and them laying off people, and then Microsoft laid off 10,000 plus people within the last week. Google apparently is laying off a bunch of people. I saw a tweet the other day where they're like, oh yeah, people came into the office and basically their whole notification was if you swipe in and your card is green, you can come to work. If it's red, guess what? You're fired. That's got to be a really nice way to be told you're just, yeah, see ya. You're let go. Doesn't sound like they really had much of anything, if any, for any severance, any like 2 weeks, 30-day notice or anything like that. That's just shitty. That's really sucks. Um, and then or not IGN, GameSpot and Giant Bomb lost a bunch of people. A bunch of people got laid off through a bunch of whatever parent company owns all of those because they're under one umbrella again. And it's not just those two, but those are the two that I'm most familiar with, especially Giant Bomb. Like I said, I've talked a lot about Giant Bomb on the channel. I've been a huge fan of a lot of the personalities that have been a part of Giant Bomb since their GameSpot days, because that's where they started. Your Jeff Gersman, Ryan Davis, Brad Shoemaker, Vinny Caravella, Patrick Klepek. Yeah, Dan Reichert they got in later, Abby Russell. Like I said, I just remember these people. Um, and like the whole, I've told this many times on the channel, but the Giant Bomb is where I kind of got the Spotlight series. That's the style that their quick look videos are kind of what I emulated. Um, because it's just, hey, let's take a raw look at a game and let you know how good, bad, or otherwise it is. And we just, I think it's a nice, honest way to look at a game or a piece of technology. And admittedly, it also appeals to my lazy side because I don't really have to do any video editing. So there's that. But yeah, all these places just got tons of layoffs. And what really bugs me about all this is, it's like you get these big companies or like gazillion-dollar companies, and it's like, oh yeah, well, by the way, we're gonna, in order to, oh, we might have lost some money or we didn't sell as much of X product or whatever we want to do here this quarter. Well, we need to still make it look good, so we're just gonna, rather than, treat the employees that actually do all the work, treat them well. Oh no, we'll just shit can them, and then, um, that way we can keep our executive salaries and make our company look good to our shareholders. I mean, that's just always bugged me. Um, God forbid a company actually cares about their employees and stuff. I mean, I know there's more to it than that, but it's just on the surface, that's what it looks like. It's just so many people losing their jobs, and just the tech industry in general seems to be just either consolidating or cutting back. It's like, oh no, we're streamlining things, and so that just sucks. Like, I really hope that people are able to find jobs in the industry again, or even, like, I remember several years ago, it's like, I wanted to be in the gaming industry so bad. It's like, oh, I could write for IGN, or I could write for a website, or I could, um, I don't know, before I learned that I sucked at programming, it's like, oh, I could work at Nintendo, or I could work at a video game company. I don't know that I'd want to do that right now because it's so volatile. Like, you might have a job one day, you might love your job one day, and then like literally you come to work one morning thinking you're fine, and then by the way, by the end of the day, you're fired. Um, we've seen it time and time again. Like, the like developer will finish a game, and then boom, that studio is just shuttered. I honestly, what I'm doing right now, some consulting work. I'm still able to work with game developers, and it's meaningful work that I really love and enjoy. Um, and doing the YouTube stuff, um, like I said, I can actually call myself a professional in the gaming industry, and I still have my day job as my fallback. I work for the government, so it's hopefully fairly secure. Um, but I think I'm in a really good spot. I can still do what I love. I finally can say that I have met one of my childhood dreams of working in the game industry. So yeah, I think, like I said, right now things are working out, and this is where I should be. But yeah, all those layoffs, man, that really sucks, and I hope those people find employment very soon. Um, Another thing that I wanted to comment quickly on, there's been a lot of talk about AI and how people are using it, misusing it, abusing it, whatever. There's a lot of things where it's like, oh, AI generates these trailers or images or audio or text. And one of the things that recently came up on my Twitter feed about just like accessibility and in the blindness area, especially audiobooks. So there's been some talk about companies are looking into, oh, well, rather than paying actual people, again, here we go, we got the bottom line. Instead of paying people that are really good at narration, that's their job. they want to use AI and text-to-speech voices for audiobooks. And I, along with many other people, I'm not really a fan of that. I don't like that at all. Now, am I a fan of text-to-speech? I'm totally fine with text-to-speech, but here's the thing, here's the difference. For an app like Voice Dream Reader, where I'm reading Bookshare books, or Word documents, or PDF files, whatever, EPUB, any textual document. If I'm using VoiceOver to read Kindle documents and I use text to speech, I use VoiceOver. That's perfectly fine. I'm super glad I have that and I use it quite a bit. But the difference is I'm using that to read text. So, yeah, I want a good sounding, preferably, semi-human narration. I mean, come on, go back looking at looking at text to speech from like the 80s and 90s. You guys have no idea. People complain about text to speech now. I'm like, dude, you would have heard some of the voices I used to regularly listen to growing up. I mean, wow. Um, but like I said, we're using those to read text. If I choose to use Bard or Audible or whatever other audiobook service, something like graphic audio or whatever it is, it's because I want that human narration. It's a good story that I want to get wrapped up in. I want to hear a really good single narrator, giving personality to the characters and inflection to the story. Some of them they're almost like dramatizations. It's like an audio movie, and some of those are really good too. And even if they're not even an audio movie, they might have multiple narrators. And if the story is told from different perspectives, they might use multiple narrators to convey that. And so, yeah, it's really I do like human narrated audio. I mean, yeah, I often speed it up, but even so, I can still enjoy the subtleties of the dialogue because I can just, I've gotten so used to it, I can process that. So, like literally, I was reading a series in the last couple of weeks where, unfortunately, like I loved the first two in the series, and then they switched the narrator partway through, and the stories weren't quite as good, and then like the narrator was fine, but I didn't like the switching narrator. I really don't know why they do that. So the narrator does actually add a lot, especially to fiction. So yeah, I really, I'm totally fine with text to speech. I have no problem with that, but I want to use that for text. When it comes to audio books, to me, that's human narration. And I want to see that continue because, let me say, like I said, there's some damn good narrators. I know one of the things they recently added to Audible is that you can follow authors. And I commented on Twitter even, I said, hey, that's great. And I followed a few authors, but I would love to see a thing where I could follow a narrator, like, oh, this guy just narrated. Because I've literally looked and said, that was a good book. Let me see what else they narrated. And, especially you might get a narrator that focuses on like a certain genre typically or types of genres. Um, so that's really nice too, because like, oh, I wouldn't mind another action-y book, or I wouldn't mind another science fiction type of thing. So curious to see what's going to happen with this AI and audio narration thing. Like I said, it's all about the bottom line. If we don't have to pay our narrators, we just, build our AI and they'll do the narration, do the work. Like in a way, like I get it from their perspective, but man, no. I mean, there is definitely a reason we want narration. Let me get a sip of little drink here real quick. There we go. Um, so the final, I don't want to say bummer, but I would say this is going to be the controversial topic of the video. Um, so another thing that has been kind of a big deal, kind of a big hubbub on the internet and social media for, well, quite a while now, but especially as the game is nearing release next month. Um, there's been an increasing amount of uh, talk, discourse, shall we say, about the upcoming um, Hogwarts Legacy. It's an open world game set, of course, in the Harry Potter universe. And it's set, I forget when, but it's like, I don't know, like 100 years before the events of the Harry Potter series. So, it's the same locations and everything, but it'll be all new characters and stuff so they can tell their own stories. Um, and it looks really good. Like I did watch a little bit of they did a couple gameplay showcases on it, and I was just sort of curious what they were going to do and if they were going to add any accessibility and everything. So like on the surface, the game looks really cool, and it looks good, and I'm curious. But what the conversation online has really been is, unfortunately, you may or may not know, J.K. Rowling has been apparently very, very anti-trans rights and very against trans people. So there's a lot of things like, a lot of people are like, I'm not supporting this game. I'm not supporting somebody who, is, hateful toward a group of people. And what's weird is I remember several years ago, when the series was still, I don't know, like book 3 or 4 or something like that. I remember people praising her because she was like she was talking about like disability rights and being inclusive and like making sure that her websites and her content were accessible and everything. Like I distinctly remember that in the late 2000s. But yeah, apparently, like I said, she's very vocal about anti-trans rights and stuff. And so there's a lot of people. It's like, if you support this game, you're a terrible person, and you are anti-trans and whatever. And like I said, I respect the people that are not supporting the game. I mean, if you have a cause that's really important to you, I totally get that. I mean, if someone wasn't, if they were anti-disability or something, like I said, I mean, it's a tough call because on one hand, the author of the series, I mean, we wouldn't have a game, we wouldn't have movies or any other spinoff if she hadn't written the books. Um, but at the same time, you know, she's already been paid. I mean, yeah, she'll probably get more depending on some sort of, like how much the game sells. But even in order for the company to develop the game, like they had to be like, hey, can we have the rights to make this open world Hogwarts Legacy game? I'm sure they had to pay a buttload of money to J.K. Rowling and her estate or whatever to even get the rights to make the game. So she's already rolling in money for it. And the thing is like, if I had to hazard a guess, I would venture to say that there's probably trans people working on this game. And I don't know, like I said, I have no right to really say much more because, I'm not trans. I don't, I mean, I know a few people who are trans, like literally, we had a coworker recently come out about that. And I've known them for a long time. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, it they there's probably trans people on the development team. In one of their features that they did showcasing the game, they were talking about the first thing you do is create your character, and they wanted that to be as inclusive as, like, they were basically saying, hey, J.K. Rowling's opinions do not reflect the opinions of our team and the game. We are not supporting hate speech. We are not supporting, anti-trans, whatever. Um, you can be whatever character you want to be. Do you want to be a man or a boy, a girl? Do you want to be, if there is romance things in the game, you can be gay, straight. If you want to be trans, you want to whatever, you can basically shape your character however you want to. Um, so that's, it's good. And like I said, we just got done talking about all these layoffs and how developers are treated. You get a publisher that publishes the games, and usually there'll be a developer team that's assigned to work on a game. And depending on how well the game does, or maybe even before that, they're just like, oh, well, we're contracting this development team to work on X game. When that game is done, we're just going to throw you out to the wind and disband that team, whatever. Um, and there's, like I said, there's just been so many layoffs, and you know that they're trying, like, you can tell if you've watched kind of, you've read some of their stuff, you've watched some of their videos, like, they want the game to be good. They want the game to be inclusive. They want the game to be, just people to enjoy it in spite of the idiocy of the core author. Um, and so it's like, you kind of want to support the developers on it. And the other reason, so I'm kind of thinking I might want to cover the game in spite of this. I know they recently announced also, speaking of inclusion, they did mention they had a post a week or two ago about accessibility, and apparently they are adding a bunch of accessibility features. I don't think they announced all of them, but they did highlight a few already. And I did ask for clarification on one of them via Twitter. So it sounds like we are getting text to speech narration for menus. And what I asked was, I said, "Oh, that's really cool. Is the text to speech narration just going to be for your main menu? Is it going to be maybe like your options menu? But then, like, you know how I've shown a lot of games recently where, oh, you get the main menu and maybe a couple other sub menus here and there, but then you get to like your pause menu where you get your skill trees and perks and upgrades and weapon loadouts, and all those things don't speak." Um, and they replied to me and they said, no, those menus should speak. So that is really good news. Um, that's where, honestly, one of the areas where I have the most trouble. Now, they didn't really say, and I don't know if they're going to have any sort of in world navigation assist like The Last of Us or God of War. Um, some sort of audible or tactile, haptic cues. That we'll have to wait and see. So I don't know if Hogwarts Legacy is going to be totally blind playable. I don't know that yet, so I can't tell you. But again, with some people not wanting to cover the game, and people still wanting information on the game, I'm trying to cover things from an accessibility perspective. And so I do want to try and get that information out to people, because if they are interested in the game and they want to know whether they can in fact try to play it or not and waste 60, $70, I think that's still worth trying to cover. So yes, I mean, admittedly, I am curious about it, both, just as a gameplay and as a personal perspective. But like I said, also, I am honestly trying to cover, and I'm trying to, like I said, I really want to know more about the accessibility, because that's going to come in um, when we look at what games were accessible late this year, at the end of 2023. So the other thing that I would say, a couple other minor things relating to this is, if you want to support, you want to play the game, but you want to support, there are tons of ways that you can support. Let's say you still want to make it clear that you are, support trans rights. You can actually, you can follow causes, you can donate to charities, you can, like I said, interact with people, you can call out bullshit when you see it. You see somebody piling on somebody online, in a chat room, or Discord or Twitch stream or something, or whatever, real life. Um, just I don't know why people have to be so hateful. Just it's so simple. Just quit being a dick. I mean, it's really just comes down to that. Um, but yeah, I mean, like donate to charity, help out if there's if there's a trans event, something happening or something, and you want to, help out with that, you could do that. Like I said, you can, be friends and just not be hateful toward, you know, like I said, I don't care if you're tall, short, fat, thin, bi, straight, trans, whatever. Whatever. It's just if you're a good person, if who cares? It's like the whole like my day job when we're looking at employment. It's like I don't know why we have to focus on all of these traits so much. It's like if I'm an employer and I want to hire somebody, why should I have to care if you're gay or straight or trans or whatever? It's like if you can do the job and you can do it well, why do I care? You can be a man, woman, whatever. You can do the job that I need you to do. Why would I discriminate? I mean, if you have a disability and you can still get the job done, absolutely. Come on, I'll hire you. Um, and the other thing, that I've seen brought up a couple times is pretty much everything that we do, everything that we own nowadays has some shady stuff behind it. I mean, you're probably watching this on a computer or a phone or a tablet, and I don't know, does anyone remember hearing about all the horrible working conditions in China when people making iPhones? Does anyone remember the um, literal, instead of addressing the issue, all they did is they put, oh, let's just put suicide nets around the building so they don't end up killing themselves and maybe they'll just come back to work. I mean, really? I mean, child labor or bad working conditions. I mean, whether it's clothes, food, electronics. The sucky part is so much of it, you don't know what goes into making it. There's a lot of things that are just, but is everyone gonna just go, you know what? I'm not using anything modern, anything, any modern science, any modern health, any modern clothing. Um, are you gonna go out in the woods and, just literally do, get what you can get in in the immediate woods and hunt and fish? And most people aren't going to do that. They're going to still use their phones. They're still going to use their daily things. So it's like I said, make a difference how you can. Um, I mean, be a good person. Do what you need to, I mean, support. Like I said, I'm trying to do all this stuff. I focus on disability. What, whether it's blind, low vision, or disability in general, even stuff that I'm not as familiar with. It's like people just want to be given the chance, just like any other discrimination, you know, um, people just want to be left alone and allowed to do what they need to do, and they want to be included in society and, go to work and whatever. But that's really all I can say about the Hogwarts Legacy stuff. So I am thinking I'm going to try to cover it from an accessibility perspective. I'm sure I'll probably get some hateful comments on Twitter or maybe even in the comments of this video. But like I said, I mean, I'm trying to be as even as I can about it. Um, but that's the controversial topic of the video. Hopefully, I didn't stumble around that too badly. Um, but yeah, so now that we got all the crap out of the way, let's finish up with a couple of better topics. So, um, I do briefly want to mention, for those unfamiliar, if there's been a lot of talk the last several years about The Last of Us 1 and 2 and how they did the accessibility. These games are totally playable by the blind. The remastered version of The Last of Us 1 on the PlayStation 5, and then The Last of Us 2, and The Last of Us 2, or The Last of Us Part 1 is coming to the PC in March. But relating to that, if you have HBO or HBO Max, As of last week, they started airing one episode per week. Unfortunately, we cannot binge it. I was kind of sad about that, to be honest with you. But The Last of Us HBO series has started as of last Sunday, and I watched the first video right when it came out, the first episode, and it is really good. So if you don't yet have a PlayStation and you're curious about the game that everybody's talking about, um, or even if you have played the series and you just want to see the like a TV adaptation of it. And I know most people, like myself included, it's like, God, how are they going to screw this up? Because we've seen so many bad adaptations of like going from a game to a movie or a game to a TV show or a TV show to a game, just cross media, whatever. It just gets butchered. And I gotta say, the first episode was fantastic. Like literally, there were parts of it where it's like it looked just like the game. I recognized some actual lines of dialogue. Um, but again, it's not just a retelling of the game. I loved the kind of cold opening that they did, where it's like, oh no, we're at this lecture, and this guy is explaining about like the fungus and like, this was before like the real world pandemic in 2020 happened, and he's like, well, yeah, we've had these types of pandemics, but we've never had anything from like this fungus, and like, yeah, it hasn't stuff like this has happened in nature, but it hasn't gotten to humans yet. But what if it did? And if it did, we're kind of screwed. And it was just a really neat way to open. And then you get to spend a little bit more time. Like they add a little bit of character, not just to like to Sarah and to some of the characters. Like they go into a little bit more detail, so you kind of at least get a glimpse of their neighbors when that bad stuff happens. After the the incident at the beginning of the game in the series, but when you're flash forward to the present, they give you a little bit more info on like how Joel and Tess are what they're doing. There's this like this security guy who Joel is kind of doing some stuff for, and that kind of ties into like him flashing back to what happened to his daughter. I mean, they flesh everything out really nicely. So they don't stray away from what made the game story really good, but they actually do add something to it that works really well. And I am very, very much looking forward to episode 2 on Sunday evening. So if you have any interest in the Last of Us series, whether you've played the game or not, I highly recommend it. It is very, very good. And once I looked on Amazon just to see, and like you can't buy the digital season just up front, but I'm hoping when it does, I will totally be buying that series. And if you watch it on the HBO Max, I will also mention there is audio description. So if you need or want that, it is there. I had somebody ask me on Twitter shortly after last week's episode, and yes, audio description is available. So definitely check that out. Um, let's see what else. We do have some interesting things happening this week. We do have kind of a Microsoft keynote or direct, as they call them. And we are supposed to learn about some of their upcoming games in the next few months. Maybe some release dates, maybe some actual concrete gameplay and gameplay information. That is on the 25th, and I'm very much intrigued about that because there are some games that I'm looking forward to, and Microsoft really, really needs to show some games because I like my Series S. Of course, they got they're doing the Windows thing. They have a great thing going with Game Pass, but really, what have they had in the last year? Their big game last fall was Oh, I just went stupid. What is the name? Um, High on Life, which I started and I kind of fell off of it pretty quickly. I don't know. Maybe I need to give it another chance. Maybe especially like I don't know, just first person shooters I much prefer to play with keyboard and mouse. And I gotta look, but I wonder, I think I might be able to play that on Game Pass for PC, so maybe I'll give it another shot on my new rig here. But aside from that, like I said, they had As Dusk Falls last summer, which was excellent, by the way. If you have not played that on the PC or Xbox, it is blind accessible and it is a damn good story. Um, As Dusk Falls was great. But, since Forza Horizon, 5 or Halo Infinite a couple years ago, they haven't really had much of anything. Sony's been killing it with a lot of their single player stuff and their big story things. And Microsoft's, they've had, like I said before, they've had so many of these buyouts and stuff like that. They really gotta make sure or start showing people why they bought all this stuff and what we're actually going to get to play. Because they've been saying that for like, oh yeah, we have stuff coming, but they've been saying that for like 3, 4 years now. So I want them to succeed. I want Sony to have competition. I want there to be more accessible games because Sony's had a couple that have been blind playable. Now we've had, like I said, Forza is kind of playable by the blind. Some of the Anna navigation stuff, the GPS navigation, all the menus weren't always accessible. And I would argue that the driving line, once you're in something, it's like you don't have a whole lot of. You're kind of just holding down the accelerator and having the car auto steer to a large degree. So, like I said, I really want to have like a action game or something more than just like I said, As Dusk Falls is fantastic, but you've got a few quick time events and you get dialogue choices. Like I want something really big and meaty on Microsoft's side, like a God of War or like a Last of Us, because I want more things to be accessible. They have the Veil, which is good. The Veil's fun. I did a playthrough of that actually on Twitch when it came out. But yeah, I just want to see all these buyouts actually result in something. Also on the 25th, we have the Game Accessibility Awards show. So if you voted on the Game Accessibility Awards, like I did, um, we'll find out what won in different categories, areas of game accessibility. That is also on the 25th. So I will want to check that out. I don't know if I'll do a video. Maybe I'll do a quick video of my thoughts on both of those days. So who knows? We may have another little video like this at the end of January. Um, as I said, there's just been so many things happening this January 2023. It's ridiculous. So there's those. And finally, I know this is totally backwards, but I will end with it's just a few channel and personal updates. In my previous video or two, I talked about, like I said, I've been talking about trying to get my computer upgraded forever now. I tried that HP Omen desktop a year and a half ago now, late 2021, and then early 2022. That computer turned out to be a complete disaster. Sent it in, got a full refund, yada yada. I think it's around April or May. You can check those videos out if you want to know more about that saga. But so I went back to my older computer and I've been using that since. But as I said in one of my recent videos, um, I finally don't have to say that I am looking for a new computer anymore. It has been ordered, it has been purchased, and it is sitting on my desk and I am using it to record this video. I do have my custom built Micro Center desktop computer. And really quickly, just for those curious, I will do a hardware review where I'll talk a little bit more about it in general, but I know people will ask, so I will tell you really quickly. It is just your latest 13th gen Core i7, 64 gigs of RAM, my NVIDIA RTX 4070 Ti video card, because I wasn't going to spend the 13 to 1500 bucks on a 4080. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. It's got a 1 terabyte primary, really fast NVMe drive in it, solid state. And then I have a little bit slower, but still an NVMe solid state drive, 2 terabyte for my games. So I've got my Steam and Epic Store already installed, and I've played some games. And then, because it was cheap, I added a 4 terabyte spinny drive. So just for, data, that's where I'll dump my movies as I'm recording them, any documents, just, stuff that doesn't need solid state, just stuff I want to store. So, I mean, that's really about it. I mean, the tower, the biggest concern that I had with that HP was, well, for one, the power supply I think was really underpowered, or it wasn't a good brand or something. I have a 1,000 watt power supply in here, so we should be totally fine that way. But the other thing was, it was like lack of cooling. The HP really only had this one giant fan at the front, and then whatever the video card had. And it was a smaller case, so like the air just didn't have space to flow out of there. This beastly guy, the whole front of it, the whole top of it, and even on the left side, on the on part of the side there, it's all sort of this mesh sort of stuff. It's really like a fine mesh type of thing where air can flow through the case. So it's really nice there. Like I can touch the front of my case and I literally feel it. I can feel the air and I can feel it's nice and cool. So this thing's gonna run. I mean, it's run so far. Like I've played ray tracing games. I've played a couple of modern games. I've played some, just some easier games. But like, yeah, I hear the fan, it'll go, and then it'll just kind of calm down again. But like, this thing is run super quiet so far, and fast. Holy criminy, this thing is just stupid fast. It's great. So yeah, I mean the two things I needed stability, because one of the reasons I sent that HP back, because literally like every, I don't know, 20 minutes the damn thing would just reset for no reason. And I think it was either due to like a power spike thing that the power supply couldn't handle, and I think it had something to do with cooling or lack thereof. And so, like I said, I really wanted to make sure that this thing was going to be run cool, quiet, have enough power that it needed, and it seems to be good. So, I mean, Micro Center, it's an awesome store. We work with them through work quite a bit as well, and I've been there personally and bought stuff in the past. But like, unfortunately, Micro Center, it's a cool store, but they don't have that many locations. And if there are, you really have to be in, from what I can tell, a really like a major metro area. Like Best Buys, you can find them in even smaller, bigger towns. But like Micro Center, you got to be in a pretty big metropolis to find one of them. Like they don't have all that many locations in North America, from what I can tell. You just got to be in a really big populated area. And luckily we have one not too far away from here, and they seem to do a pretty nice job. So thank you to them. Thank you for that. And now I am totally current. I can play whatever I want to. I can consult however I want to. I've got an Xbox. I've got a PC. I've got a PlayStation. I've even got a handy dandy little analog pocket that I did a review for. So if I want to go back and play some handheld stuff, I can. I've got a Switch OLED. We are good. So yeah, I have a new PC. So far it's working great, knock on wood, but hopefully it'll be here and I'll be able to use it for years to come. And yeah. In addition to that, like I said, I mentioned in another video too, I got this new headset. Hopefully the audio quality on this video is a lot more consistent. I had that Razer headset that I got last year after my other Turtle Beach headset that I loved died. And I'm going to do a hardware review on this headset pretty soon because so far, it's really impressing me. It's a wireless headset, but it uses a USB dongle when you connect it to your computer. So it's not using Bluetooth. It's using kind of like just a proprietary wireless technology for itself, and it works great. But it also supports Bluetooth, and I can, believe it or not, listen to my computer and my phone if I want to at the same time. And that is a really cool thing. So yeah, look forward to some hardware reviews. Look forward to, like I said, if something comes out on the PC and I want to play it, I don't have to, I don't have to constantly check the system requirements anymore and go, well, let's see, can this even run the game? And if I can, is my fans gonna explode if I try to run it? Because like I said, I played Metal Hellsinger and a couple other games, and boy, my old computer was not happy about that. It just made all kinds of horrendous noises, and I'm like, no, we're not going to make my computer blow up here. We're going to just not play those for now. And I have played Metal Hellsinger on this new rig, and it is buttery smooth goodness. So hell yeah, we can do some first-person shooter rhythm metal. So that is what I've got for you guys today. Um, I think I've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to in this video. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, there's plenty more to come. Check out the recent videos. I did a recent video for Home Quest, an iOS accessible game. We've got a demo time for what is it called? Disdain, which is a really, really fun retro shooter I'm looking forward to now. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff happening. So check those out. We definitely have some more accessible game videos coming. Like I said, now we can play fancy schmancy new PC games and Xbox and PlayStation games and lots of fun stuff to happen. Who knows? Maybe I'll even stream one day again. Who knows? But anyway, we'll wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. So until next time, chat with everybody again later.